We're just going to match people up with what you care about and then work together. And no matter what you're doing, I'll always help because I at least know something about all of them. But the truth is, I can't be gone every day of the year at some UN meeting somewhere on the planet. So it'd be better if there were more of me. We should multiply. So many of you can just go to one meeting a year and do something like that, and that would be great. The reason I bring it up is we're getting into a period where the UN's going to expand. More importantly, if any of you like playing financial markets, the new buzzword is going to be green growth. One of the biggest meetings that I'll share with you today is going to take place this summer from June 20th through 22nd. It's a meeting we never go to. It's called Rio Plus 20. So Rio is in what country? Brazil. Has anyone ever been to Brazil? Okay, me neither. But very important, all the indigenous peoples of the world are meeting the week before to come up with an indigenous platform on green growth. This is important because all the countries are meeting and everything's going to change a little bit with capitalism. They're going to focus on green growth, looking at wind, solar, waves, biofuels. They will look at all different kinds of ways to change to reduce the carbon in the atmosphere. Because right now it's at 397 parts per million. Once it goes over 400 to 450, it's irreversible. No matter if we all stop driving tomorrow and just live in your house, it will be impossible to turn it back. When that happens, Mekong Delta will be underwater. Even if you got your homeland back, you don't have your homeland unless you swim or scuba dive. So I know, as Kim said yesterday, and you're matriarch and you're connected to the earth, Mother Earth and land. When you lose that land, you'll lose a huge part of your identity and who you are as a people. It will destroy you, like in the Avatar movie. You need to make sure that we work on this issue. The other reason, though, besides just caring about the earth, it's also an opportunity that Vietnam's using to make money. There's something called REDD. Not red as in communist red, but REDD. Reduce emission, deforestation, and destruction. Right now, Vietnam will get over $1 billion from governments to not cut their forests and to do efforts to do mitigation. That means to make climate change not so bad for people being impacted. But the truth is, as we talked about yesterday, not a lot of those funds will get to the KHMER KROM people. They'll stay in Hanoi and they'll do a study. That'll be done by Vietnamese students that have never been there. So what we have to do is we have to be at the UNFCCC meeting, because at that meeting, governments pledge money and Vietnam collects money. But if they knew there was a person saying, we're actually on the ground, we're the ones dealing with climate change on a daily basis, with the rice fields, with the mangroves, with these issues, they then would be able to bounce off ideas, and more importantly, begin to understand the funds need to go where they should go. The other issue is kind of a sick one that capitalism does. How can you commodify nature? All of a sudden now nature, a tree has a price tag, so money does grow on trees. People said it never does, but it will. Because if you keep the tree in the ground, you'll get money from governments. Because forests holds in the CO2 that we release from our cars and everything else. So the forests are a sink. They hold it all in. So what's really important is the UNFCCC meeting that happens every December. So it's kind of bad. You have to leave before Christmas. So I admit it's not my favorite meeting. I just had to go to South Africa, December 1 through 10. And South Africa crime, crazy. Makes San Jose look really safe and anywhere, even if you go over to the other markets. So, crazy atmosphere. But, very important meeting. Vietnam government's asking for money at every meeting. They're getting contributions, and there's no indigenous voice. to say what really the money should go. So next year the meeting is in a place you've never heard of called Qatar, or gutters, which is good because the negotiations are kind of in the gutter right now. Very, very difficult ones. So if you're interested in these issues, I encourage you to please contact anyone, because you can work with us on that issue related to what your interest is. If you're an entrepreneur, the Rio Summit this summer, absolutely crucial. This summer, from June 20th to 22nd, is all about green growth. All there will be is governments looking to invest in ecological entrepreneurship. If we set up businesses or ideas in Mekong Delta related to the environment that help the rest of the planet, but more importantly, preserve your land, you can then work on that. Now, this isn't my favorite thing. I'm not a really big businessman. I don't care about money. I think it corrupts a lot. You need it as a tool. In your tool belt, you have to have many tools. You have to have your pen, your computer, even a hammer. Even if you hit the government, you still have the other side to pull the nail out later. You got to have many tools. You have to be very skilled. So the important thing about that meeting, though, is there's many people who always say they want to be creative business people. Everybody I meet, oh, Josh, my new business, that's what we're going to do. And I'm always like, okay, cool. That's your passion. Make a new business. But at Rio, they actually have the new documents already online. They're telling you what to do and how to do it. They're telling you what they're going to do, how to create it, and most importantly, every government there and every business there will all be looking at the issue. Now, what's really important is Indigenous people have their own space there. We're actually one of the major stakeholders. So our title there, major stakeholder. We even get our own office in the middle of a giant meeting. But there hasn't ever been the KHMER KROM presence yet, ever. And it's been meeting for 17 years. 17 years. And the truth is, you don't have to go to every meeting. It was only Copenhagen 2 years ago that was supposed to be really big. And it was. Obama went. They set some things up. Last year was Cancun, Mexico. This year, South Africa. Next year, Qatar. But if you can focus on these issues, and that's, bless you, I think. I hope he's okay. If you can focus on this, and if this seems like your interest, we can organize together in this capacity. And once again, there's two reasons for it. One, the altruistic one, to save the planet, and also more important, your homeland. And two, to be a voice to make sure that any funds that come in actually go to the right places. Because even though red is crazy, red is the craziest thing you could ever think of, that there's now going to be a new market, not just a financial market, but a carbon market. And if you release carbon, you pay. And if you store carbon, you make money. So the environment is now a new market. And they're not just going to do forests. Next they're going to do red plus plus, kind of like beauty products. Red plus plus will be the ocean. So yesterday I met a wonderful fisherman from Dallas who loves the ocean. That's great. But they're going to now see how much the ocean stores. And if your ocean is clean and has a good reef, one, if you have a reef, it prevents your house from being washed away from the big waves. That's good. That's first. But two, if it's alive, then you also have fish. If you have a reef and no fish, what do you have if you're a fisherman? You're unemployed. You're like the people in Canada, up at Newfoundland, who just couldn't fish because there's no more fish. It's a pretty stupid job. Now they're doing hairdressing. You want a guy to cut your hair who used to fish? Probably not. I don't think he does a good job. Maybe explains my hair, but it's not a good thing. So these are just some issues that are a little too big to talk about on a Thursday night, Friday night, like last night. But it is important to not just one day hear about it in 10 years and go, how come Josh never talked about climate change? This seems pretty big. So many people are dying. We've been working to get our homeland back. Now we got it. It's underwater. Great. Good job. Now we got an underwater place. The government of the Maldives, they were trying to alert the world to how bad it is. They had a meeting, a president's meeting, with scuba gear underwater. Because the truth is, in 20 years, their country's underwater. Right now, they have a fund If you visit Maldives, you have to pay $10. It's to buy a new homeland. I mean, we're dealing with a new situation that doesn't exist in international law. When do you have to turn off the lights on your country, lower your flag, and leave? Because if your country is uninhabitable, if you can't provide water for your people, if every time a storm comes in, you lose your whole capital, the rest of the world's going to be like, we can't keep paying for this. You know, eventually people will lose their own. Bangladesh, 1 million plus people migrating. When that happens, what happens next? Conflict, crisis. There will be wars over water. Water is known as the new blue gold. These are the things that we can't just talk about our rights and land rights and Vietnam's bad. There's an entire larger global issue, and that's why we work at the UN, because all these issues are kind of interconnected. So climate change is just something to be aware of. If you're kind of young or retired or just in the middle and have a little bit extra time, 1-2 hours a week, don't watch a bad reality TV show. Maybe don't sing karaoke for 1 hour. I know you like to. It's always good. But, you know, spend a little time on one of these issues and then come to the team to be a specialist on that. And the good news is, we'll help you, we'll train you, we'll work on things, and we'll move that way. Okay? So I'm just going to talk just that much, because there's no point in, like, scaring you more about it. I admit it's a really bad situation. Like, it's one of the biggest issues humanity will have to deal with. And where our politicians aren't smart. Obama wants to get reelected. The Republican wants to get elected. They're all going to say, grow, grow, grow the economy. But the truth is, there is a limit to growth. Our planet, one little blue planet. That's it. And if we destroy it, no matter how many votes you get, you can't create a job if you live in drought and you have famine and things are unstable. So, U.S. hasn't made good decisions. China hasn't done it either. And those two countries are now the giant emitters. So the truth is, they're going to play the game, but you will suffer, because you're on the front line of climate change in the future. So there's two things we can do. We can do it adaptation now, looking at ways to survive, looking at ways to grow mangroves, look at ways to restore coral, look at creative work and projects that we can improve and survive what's going on as best as possible. And mitigation, that we can reduce CO2 and be part of the process to make sure that it doesn't get as bad as it could. So, I know it's a little heavy for breakfast, but the donuts are delicious. And it's just an important issue to be aware of. And if anyone wants to work on it or interested, Rio de Janeiro this summer, very important meeting. And the cool thing is, now everything's online and video. So sometimes, you don't even have to leave your home. Like, I do human rights work from my bed in Hawaii. Because Hawaii, Geneva, 12-hour difference. So midnight my time, noon their time. So I always sometimes have to work 1 to 6 in the morning, but I just work from my bed on Skype. And I can tell everybody in the room what to go do. I'm like, please go talk to Norway government. Okay, you do this. And I can watch it moving on the television. So it's great. You don't even have to go anywhere anymore. You can stay in Hawaii or San Jose, wherever your place is, and you don't even have to travel to help work. You can do a lot of it from using our Revolution 2.0 information that Monique shared with you yesterday. So I'll stop there. I hope everybody had a good evening last night and a good sleep. And once again, it's nice to see you on New Year's Eve. And I'll see more of you next year in North Carolina for New Year's. But for those that are doing more work throughout the year, you'll see me more often. And hopefully it won't be like my good friend Sam, where it snowed in Seattle once and then I had to live with him for a week. But I was a good house guest, but you know, it's a little longer time than you planned it to be. But we always have fun wherever we find each other. So look forward to meeting with you and work on things anytime. Okay, thank you. Any questions? No?
No question.
Great. That either means, once again, no one understood me,